So morning, Saturday morning, bright crisp day in February, no January, it's still January, and I've come to Avebury in Wiltshire, World Heritage Site, and today I've got planned a walk probably in the region of about 8 miles. I've been out of walking for quite some time, so I've started an obesity walking plan, which I found on the internet. I'll put on the links to it a bit down below. But the idea, or what my dream is that I'd like to walk the West Highland Way. At the moment I'm struggling to walk maybe 4 miles, so I've got a bit of a way to go yet. But anyway, I've got an 8-week walking plan that will get me up to walking reasonable distances, and then another training plan on top of that, which is about 16 weeks, and that will get me up to walking to the kind of level that I would need to do for the West Highland Way. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right, isn't it? So the place I'm trying to get to today is called Windmill Hill. So I'll be coming back to Avebury in a little while, but not quite yet. So the idea today is that I've come out on a little bit of a walk. During the week, during this last week, I managed to do 3 days of 1.5 miles each. So the program that I've got suggests that we go out and do 5 to 20-minute walks on 3 days a week, and then that next week that will be stepped up to 4 days of the week. But I reckon I did maybe 4.5 miles during the week. So what I've done is I've got like a figure of 8 route planned around Avebury, and each circuit will last about 4 miles. So the plan is I'm going to go and try and walk up Windmill Hill, which should give a great view over the whole Avebury site, and then see how I go, have my lunch hopefully, see how long it takes, see how I feel, and if I feel good, then I'll carry on and do the other 4-mile circuit, and if I feel like I've had enough, then nothing's lost really, and I can just carry on and go home. Well, that'd be a shame to do that, but yeah, well, let's see how we go. Ideally I'd like to do the 8-mile walk, but let's see how it goes. My mum would very much admire this dry stone wall. Oh, and that one as well, she'd love that to draw. Avebury Manor and Garden. It's weird, I can smell lavender in the air. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Says St James's Church, welcome pilgrims of all faiths and none. We pray you find peace here, we pray you find God's love here, we hope you will rest a while, know you're welcome. Oh yes, of course, St James. Got right on time. Yeah, so the what I was saying there, the St James. So a lot of people have heard of the route out in northern Spain called the Camino Santiago, and sort of Iago is Sant is saint and Iago is James, so it's the pilgrim route of St James. And there's lots of churches around the UK called St James, and there's a Camino England which you can do, which goes from Reading to Southampton. But the sign of the Camino is the shell motif. So, wow. Nice thatched cottage. The old bakehouse. I've only got a rough idea of where I'm going actually. I should it's a bit of a man thing, I suppose, is the you kind of think yourself as, oh yes, I know where I'm going, I don't need a map. Well, I do have a map and compass in my bag, and after poring over the internet last night, I think I've got a rough idea of where I'm going. So lately here in the UK we've had rather a lot of rain, which they're blaming on climate change obviously, and I'd thought that because it hasn't rained in quite some time now, that maybe the waters would have receded, but you can see that the ground is still saturated, and this is what should normally be a stream is now turned into a river. Morning.
All right.
Don't know if you know about dry stone walling, but Obviously all of these blocks needs to be lifted in by hand, and those big blocks will weigh some weight. You're going to need machinery possibly to get those into place, so, or at least a couple of people to help you lift it. It's not a one-man job. Barn conversion. Well, isn't that hideous? It's a good job we're in a national park. That's supposed to be in fitting with the natural surroundings. How does brick marry with stone? It's ridiculous. So yeah, these are kind of interesting. I've just checked my map and found that I am going in the right direction. Just failed to judge the distance correctly. I thought I've been walking for ages and that road turning hasn't turned up. Well, yeah, you haven't been walking long enough, have you, dumbass? Anyway, you see these mushroom-shaped things in front of this house here, and you'll find these in quite a lot of English rural settings, and they're quite an ancient technology. And what they were stilts for essentially a grain store. So you would put a grain store on top of the like a wooden shed on top of these as like stilts, and they're a way of proofing your grain store against rats, so rats can't actually climb up here and then go over that invert. So the mushrooms were there just for support for the hut, and then that little blob on top of it was to stop rats from getting into your grain store. Okay, so this Windmill Hill thing that I was going to go and have a look at is an English heritage thing. So this pattern here, although it's terribly weather worn, is the English heritage sign. So I guess we go that way. Although looking out in the distance there, it doesn't look like much of a hill. It looks like a small rise. Anyhow, let's crack on. These boots are brand new. They're getting their first outing today. And previously I've had Salomon GTX boots, but the reviews on Go Outdoors have said that the boots are no longer fit for purpose, and the manufacturing quality's gone down. I know my last pair of Salomon walking shoes, when he looked at the label, had been made in Cambodia, which just kind of shows you the global market of these things. But yeah, so these boots are made by Brasher, which are English make, and they're waterproof and they're Gore-Tex, and they were in the price bracket that I wanted to pay, which is about £140 or thereabouts. I stopped here for a rest. I forgot what hills are like. It's certainly not a mountain, but it's definitely a good steady climb. Well, that's confusing. I'm sure it said English Heritage down there, but this definitely says that's the leaves of the National Trust. So anyway, what does it say? Windmill Hill, a large and famous Neolithic causewayed enclosure. On this grassy hill lies the earliest monument in the Avebury landscape. If you look carefully, you'll be able to find the earthworks of a triple ditched enclosure built over 5,000 years ago. The enclosure was built by early farming communities, people who had arrived from continental Europe only a few generations before. They dug out 3 concentric ditches with inner banks enclosing an oval area nearly 400 metres across. Over a period of about 300 years, people from dispersed communities gathered here to meet, conduct ceremonies, take part in feasts, share news and exchange goods. As part of these activities, they deliberately placed a whole variety of objects: animal bones, stone axes, pots, wood, charcoal, ash, flint tools and human remains into the open ditches. That's a muddy dirt track we just walked up. Looks like people have been driving up here. Okay, so we've reached the top of Windmill Hill. I'm guessing a Bronze Age burial mound, as there's loads of them around here. Out there in the distance is Silbury Hill and West Kennet Long Barrow. Hopefully we'll go and visit those a bit later on today. See how I feel when I get back to the centre of town. Just passed by a walking group and they warned me that a bit further down here it's a bit wet. I thought it was a bit odd really, because the walking party, rather than wearing walking boots, were wearing Wellington boots. I thought that's a bit odd, because when we take our cubs out we warn them never to wear wellies when they go on a walk. But then in my 30s, when I was up Helvellyn in the Lake District, and me and my friend had just hacked our way through a snowdrift, a thing called a cornice, with ice axes, and we'd made our way up onto the summit, and we met a guy there who was in a string vest clutching what was left of a 6-pack of Stella Artois, and we just looked at each other like either of us had just crawled out of a swamp, and then said hellos and then walked on by. Avebury, 1 mile. Yoo-hoo! What a nice gate. So over there, nestling in the trees, is St James, where we were earlier this morning. And this is where we come from. And to be honest, it wasn't that wet particularly. And then just as I came across the stile in the fence there, I thought, oh crikey. Anyway, let's get on, let's do it. It's going to be a bit of a squelch fest, I think. So I've come off the squelch fest in the field and thought I'd pop into the National Trust Cafe and see if I could get a cup of tea, but the queue for anything really is massive, almost stretching out the door, so I'll give that a miss. I've got my lunch with me anyway, so I might as well sit here and have my lunch, have a bit of rest, and I managed the 4 miles okay. That was good. I enjoyed it. It was great. Not much wildlife to see. There's a few kites overhead, but nothing that would be picked up by the camera. And there's quite a few people out walking, so it's nice to be sociable and say hi and on the way past. But oh, hello. There's a jackdaw that's arrived. Hello, Mr. Jackdaw. You gonna say hi? He probably wanted to see if I've got any food. Yeah, so I'm gonna have some lunch, see how I go on. My feet are a little bit sore, but let's see how it goes after lunch, after I've had a bit of a rest, a bit of food to eat. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So here I am at Avebury Stone Circle. I've had my lunch. I feel okay, to be honest, but I'm still about going for another 4 miles. I don't want to push it, but there's still kind of like another 4 hours of, well, 3.5 hours of daylight, so, and it'll take me about 4 hours to go round, so when I come back it'll be in the dark. It's the trouble with winter walking, it's so restrictive. Been to Avebury loads of times, but never been up here. This is the avenue, which is the entrance to the stone circle. Oh look, the sun's come out. Hello sun, hello. So I decided to come out anyway. And there is apparently a footpath that runs alongside this road down to, I don't know, wherever the next place is. Over there on the horizon was where I was planning to go, which is it's a byway which connects up onto the Wessex Ridgeway, but like I said, I don't think I had the time, so I'm just going to crack on down here and see where we go from there. Okay, so I've had a look at the map, and rather than continuing on down here, it's not actually a public footpath, but it's open access land, and it means I can crack up that hill there, and we should come in at the top of Silbury Hill, which is one of my targets for today. So all good, let's crack on. This looks more like what I'd call a hill. Phew-wee! Summit, almost. What an absolutely outstanding view though. Over there onto the over there's the Wessex Ridgeway. Across that field is Avebury, down the other side kind of thing. And we're just coming up on Silbury Hill. Couldn't find a better picnic spot, could you? Even if you are in duvet jackets to keep warm. So I came to a stile there at the bottom of the hill, and it had two stiles on it, and the path that I'm walking on is one path, and then there's another path over here in this field. Couldn't really work it out, I had to get the map out. Still not clear really. So we'll follow this, and if we have to cross over onto that path, then we will do. Anyhow, this is the River Kennet. And I guess it follows on from the Kennet and Avon Canal, which is one of my stomping grounds when I'm out cycling. But to be honest, it looks like a tributary, maybe, because the River Kennet is huge, and that's just like a little fast flowing stream. Anyhow, don't spoil the moment, Alan. Got a lovely, lovely sunny day. Why is it sunny? It wasn't supposed to be sunny. So that's the end of the walk. Car park's in sight. I think I've walked about 6.5 miles, which I am super proud of. Didn't think I could do that, and I pushed through my own self-doubt. I could sleep well tonight, I think, but I'm going to go to the car now, drop off my rucksack, and then maybe saunter into the National Trust shop, see if I can get a cup of tea. And wow, what a great day. Can't wait for the next one.